These are the 4 different Lunchable recipes. 2 different sauces to try. We will see which one's the winner. Hello, howdy, and welcome to my lab, aka the kitchen. I am your lab technician, Kathryn, also known as the Aerogarden Homesteader. So, today we are experimenting. I am going to try to make some Lunchable rounds for my children because have you seen the price of those things lately? We normally buy them on sale when we can as a treat for our kids, but I'm not paying that price. So, I'm going to be making 4 different recipes, 3 of which you will see come together here. And one of them is the sourdough pita recipe that I posted a little while ago, so I will link to that. This is going to be really confusing, but I'm going to batch these all at the same time because, you know, I don't want to wash my teaspoons and measuring spoons between each one. So I am going to pick an ingredient and go through and weigh it all out or measure it out, as the case may be. So 2 of them require cup and teaspoon measurements. 1 requires weight with teaspoon measurements. So I am going to actually start with the yeast because I want to get this back in the fridge. So I have everything labeled so I can follow everything all the way through. This is batch 2. I will have it listed by what the recipe is and the number that it is so that at the end we can have everything come together. So this is recipe 3 and this is recipe 4. And then the first recipe will be the sourdough pita that I'm making just to see if that will work as well. I'm going to get this back in the fridge and then I will keep going with the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to go with the next ingredient, which is sugar. So it's going to be tablespoons. So this is a tablespoon of sugar. I think they all require, well, this one requires a teaspoon. And this one requires 2 tablespoons. I bet you my kids like this one. Okay, so that's that. Get that out of the way. The next thing I want to do is flour because that will keep the liquids separate from the other ones. I need 2 3/4 cup of flour here. So that's half. Oh boy, I think my bowls might not be big enough. I'm going to have to switch these to bigger bowls. Okay, this one requires 250 grams. Let's see how much that ends up being. 1 3/4. There's about 1 3/4 cup of flour. And then the last one, let me get this off, calls for 1 1/2 cups. That's that. Okay, I'm going to do salt next. There's my salt. I'm just using El Cheapo table salt because you know that's what a big company, corporation is going to be using, so we're going with it. Oops. So this one needs a teaspoon. Boy, this is slow. Okay, teaspoon. I think they all require a teaspoon actually. Okay, for this next part, I'm going to add the liquids and just process them one at a time so that I'm not having dough get all clumpy. So this one requires a cup of water and a tablespoon of oil. Now it does actually call for olive oil, which again, I don't think a large corporation would be using olive oil in their stuff, but we'll see. And yes, I'm using a dry measure for my liquids. So that's that. Yes, definitely need a bigger bowl. And then my 1 tablespoon of oil. Okay. So after this one comes together, I will move on to the next one, and then the next one. And then they will just need a 1-hour rise. And a larger bowl, apparently. Yeah, definitely do this in a bigger bowl. Okay, I'm just going to have to get my hands dirty right from the get-go. So one of the things I noticed when I was searching online for Lunchable recipes is that a lot of them, they actually just say, oh, go to the store and buy mini pitas, or go to the store and buy mini sandwich rounds, or or whatever the case may be. And it's like, well, that's all fine and dandy, but you're still paying a lot of money for something that's very small. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. See if we can do it from scratch. Otherwise, we may have to resort to buying little sandwich rounds, which I have not really been able to find in my area. So either it's not popular, or I'm not looking hard enough. Okay, well, I'm going with it. Put that in the bowl, get that covered, get it started to rise. Okay, I'm going to put in just a tiny little splash of oil to help prevent sticking. There you go, on to the next one. I'm going to clean up my... Okay, I'm skipping to recipe 4, just so I can use my milk. And I will need, let me see, half a cup of milk. That's literally it. And some oil. Boy. Okay, just we will see. My milk is a little frozen. Okay, there you go. This is my no-knead icebox roll recipe. So I think I have that listed somewhere. If I do, I will link it. If I don't, let me know if you want me to make it. Okay, 2 tablespoons of oil. This normally calls for butter or shortening melted with the milk warmed up, but I'm trying to simplify things a little bit. So I will just use the same one. Because it's a no-knead, I don't know if this will come together as a dough or just be a shaggy mess, which is what it's supposed to do. So, yeah, that might need a little more flour to come together. A little more. Okay, put a bit more in there. Okay, it's probably about 2 tablespoons. Okay. That feels like it came together a little bit better. So now everything is super cold because of the milk, but I'm sure it will do its thing eventually. Give it a quick knead. There you go. Shouldn't need much because it's supposed to be a no-knead dough. And we'll just let that go. Covered. And I'm going to clean up my hands again. Okay, and last but not least, this is my pizza dough recipe. It calls for water by weight. I'll get my scale back. Okay. Put in, calls for 180 for the no-knead recipe. I'm going to put in just slightly less than that. Let me see, what am I at? Try to give you an idea of how many cups. Okay, I'm at 2 1/3, so let's see how much 180 is. Okay, I'm going to try 150, see how that does, because I do want it to be sort of in between. And I am currently at 1 2/3, so it's almost a cup of water. And then it calls for, does not call for any oil, so that's all it needs. So the only change I made to this recipe, other than decreasing the water just a little bit, and if it needs more, I'll add more, but was to put the sugar in. So I was reading more than a few websites, honestly, for trying to figure out how to develop a recipe that I think might work for Lunchables, and I think it was the Takeout had, I'll link it below, but it had an article that recommended to add sugar and a little bit of salt, to increase the salt, and that will get you pretty close to the dry, pasty, crackery bread things that come in a Lunchable package. So that's why I added sugar to my pizza dough recipe. So I didn't add a lot, but I did follow the recommendation to add some sugar. So we will see. So I will have the kids try it and vote on what they feel is their first and second choices and go from there. Now they need to agree on one recipe for me to make. So it'll be like whatever their choices are, and then sort of the winner that they both have to agree on, because I'm only going to do this once. I'm not going to make two different recipes because each kid had a favorite. Yeah, I think that's pretty darn close. And I will put in a splash of oil in the bottom of the bowl to help prevent sticking. And all of these will proof for about an hour. It's going to kind of depend on each recipe. The one with the milk, obviously that one's colder than the rest, so it might take a little longer than the rest. We will go from there. I will let you know how things progress at each stage. Okay, I'm going to say this one's ready. This is number 2. So I need 16 gram circles, or 16 gram balls, that I can turn into 4-inch circles. Now it does say you can roll it out and cut it with a cookie cutter. I don't think I have a 4-inch circle cutter, so we're going to do the balls. I need 16 grams. Let's see how big that is. Probably not very big at all. That is going to be small. Okay, let's just go with 20. Because I can't imagine this is going to make a 4-inch circle. That, you see, that's going to be really thin. Let's go with a little bit bigger. Let's do 35. Let's see how 35 ends up. Give that a second to rest. Do a few more 35s. This batch is going to make quite a few. Probably could have made half of this. Although if the kids like it, they will go through it. They will need to rest for a short amount of time at least, because when you work the dough it toughens it up a little and you want it to relax, otherwise you won't get good circles. Okay, I'm going to turn this off for a minute. I'm going to deal with those ones, see where we're at. Okay, I'm going to just give it a little bit of flour. See how it's springing back like that? This has not rested enough. So let that sit. Keep going. So my oven is currently preheating to, I believe it was 450. So it should not take long in the oven once it gets going. And I think it only needed like 8 to 10 minutes. I have 2 cookie sheets prepared with silpats, just to make my life easier. They're all getting just a smidgy bit more. Okay, get rid of that. My oven is preheated. Okay, let's see how this rolls out. And we need to dock it, otherwise it will rise up, get all puffy, which we don't want. We want them to be flat, flat, flat. Okay, let me get this on the cookie sheet. I'm going to roll out however many I can fit on the cookie sheet. Okay, well they definitely need to sit and rest longer, so give them at least a 10-minute rest, not the 2 minutes that I gave them. Okay, it looks like I will be able to get 6 on my pan. Okay, I am going to get these in the oven, and I will start rolling up some more. So I will bring you back when all of these are done, and I will do taste tests with the kids to figure out which ones they like, and we will go from there, and I will let you guys know the decision at the end. But I will be taking you along for some of the other ones as well. This is the modified pizza dough recipe. Modified in that I added sugar. It's pretty much all I did. I will be doing, this will be getting the same treatment. So I'll just do 35 gram balls, let it rest for a few minutes, roll it out, bake it, and then we'll see how they all look together at the end. Okay, once again, I'm going to get these in the oven, 450 for 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the oven temperature, and we'll check back in when everyone's done. Okay, I am moving on to the sauce. One of the pages I looked at had a sauce recipe suggestion. We're going to give that a try. We're also going to try just a jar of marinara sauce to see which is preferred. So I am not using tomato paste in this, although it does call for it. I'm just going to use the tomato sauce. So that means I'm doubling it, which means I need to put in, here, let me start with the Italian seasoning. So this requires 1/4 of a teaspoon, so it's going to be 2 of these. I'm going to crush it up a little just to make it finer. Plus it's really old, so it's not going to be that aromatic. Okay, there we go. Get some onion powder, calls for 1/8 of this. And garlic powder, 1/8 of this. Remember, I'm doubling this, so this actually calls for 1/16 of a teaspoon of these, which there's no way I can measure that. And it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, so that's going to be 3 teaspoons, which is 1 tablespoon. This is a 1/2 tablespoon measure. There you go. Everything has been doubled. I need to let this simmer down for like 10 to 15 minutes. So I will put that on the burner and let that go, and again I will show you everything when it's all done. Okay, last but not least, got the biscuits that have just been modified a little bit and are also still very sticky. Oh yeah, this is going to be a mess. Okay, same amount, I'll just go with the 35 grams, it seems to be working. Okay, oven is heated up. Let's get these shaped and in the oven. So these ones, I don't know if they will need as much of a resting period or as much docking, but I guess we will see. They definitely need lots of flour. Lots of flour. Boy. Okay. There we go. Oops. They're sliding around. Okay, I'll get this in the oven. Same temperature as all the other ones. And we will see how they go. The last ones are the pitas, and that is, go check out the pita video to see how those ones come together, but I will show you how everything looks at the end. Leave it to the mini pitas to behave like mini pitas, even when I docked them full of holes. So, now we know. So, given a choice between all 4 different types of pizza, and this was after a taste test, and then a choice to go back 2 days later and have a go at it again, felt like number 2 was the winner, with number 3 being a really close runner-up, which is good because they're both just like kind of a regular pizza dough recipe, so I can double up and make pizza for everyone else and have a few extra Lunchable rounds for the kids. They froze beautifully. We just thawed them for like 9 or 10 seconds in the microwave. 1 and 4 was definitely last place. Nobody really seemed to care for that one. It almost came out more like a crispy cracker. I think it just, the icebox roll recipe just didn't really work. Number 1, I had one person like it a lot. So one kid really liked it, one kid kind of liked it, but it felt like the second one and the third one were the choice ones to go for. So that is the state of the experiment. I feel like it was a success because I had the kids come back and want more. It wasn't just they ate one and they were done. And they came back for more, so I think that was the important thing. I hope you found this video useful, and thank you so much for joining me on this experiment today, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.